Recognition Day, and we're going to talk about some volunteers. But when the community comes together, I like to say, Josh, that with our corporate sponsors, generous donors, and tireless volunteers, Indiana County can count on the United Way. And it's so true. Coming from a different perspective, seeing everybody together work on a common goal is great. And Kayla's going to tell you actually how much money we raised, because we did exceed our goal.
Yeah, that's right. The goal was 724,411.
211. 724.
Because we were doing 211.
Yes,
the
211.
The service that United Way has definitely
significant numbers.
Big was provided. So Kayla, what was that final total once again?
So it was 727,886.09. Can't forget the 9 cents.
Can't forget the 9 cents. Somebody couldn't have put 91 cents
Yes.
into the kitty.
Hey, I had to buy balloons for the annual meeting of those exact numbers, and we could not forget the 9 cents.
And Rob and Aaron worked so hard. They dedicated so much time, and they just went at it so hard. We were so happy when we exceeded the goal. And Josh, those are the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Those are the numbers, 724,211. But the goal of the United Way of Indiana County remains to be feeding hungry families, helping people find safe housing and shelter, supporting mental health and counseling servicing, giving kids books and learning opportunities, connecting people to 211, providing warm houses in the winter, working with aged and disability. These are our goals. That's a number that we shoot for, but our goal is to make that impact in the county. And we couldn't do it without our volunteers. Kayla, can you talk a little bit about our volunteers?
I was actually going to start off with the two guys that you had already mentioned, the co-chairs, who do this on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other volunteers who work under them to make this sort of a thing a success.
Oh, absolutely. And kind of, just piggybacking off what Joe said, like that number is incredibly impressive, but none of that would have been achievable without the help of our volunteers, because actually, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Do Good Institute, a volunteer's time and effort is equal to $35 an hour.
That's way above the minimum wage, and whenever you think about it.
Exactly.
So,
and,
wow.
Yeah, and that number is set to go up again this year. So, the fact that we had 678 volunteers throughout this campaign, they did over 4,000 hours of service. So when we did the very quick math, it's over $140,000 worth of help.
That's amazing, and that's just in service right there.
That's just in service,
and that's ranging from events like Turkey-thon that we had here on WCCS, probably to the traditional pancake and sausage day, to the trivia night that you guys had. It was everything.
It was everything, and it was giant events like the gala or Turkey-thon, like you mentioned, or something as small as Turkey-thon, or not Turkey-thon, the trivia night, or we had some events at Sit and Stay where we had a handful of volunteers. So the fact that many people showed up in our community is really a testament to the commitment that people have.
And it's also important to note that a lot of the people who then utilize that money to make these programs happen, they're volunteers as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we definitely utilize volunteers as much as we can, and we're just very grateful to have such amazing corporate partnerships with places like S&T Bank, the Norma Group, First Commonwealth, in First Bank, that really step up and help us with volunteers.
Right, they bring volunteers out to the events. You look at Turkey-thon this year, it was very cold. They were standing out, right?
But the only person who was warm was the person who was in the mascot outfit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But Josh, you talked about the organizations that we donate to. They also rely on volunteers, but we partner with some outstanding agencies. We're with Accessibility, the Alice Paul House, Camp Arenda, Chevy Chase, Scouting America, Life Steps, Salvation Army, the Open Door, and YMCA. These are organizations that I like to say they raise our stock. When people hear that when they donate to the United Way, these are the organizations that they're helping to fund. these are outstanding organizations, and they rely on volunteers also. So again, today is Volunteer Recognition Day. I believe it's a whole month, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
April
Volun-
is volunteer recognition.
And
month,
volunteers deserve more than a day.
Yeah.
So they get a whole month. But we just really want to emphasize that we couldn't do it without our volunteers.
Yeah. So obviously, again, as we mentioned, the two who were co-chairs, they do this on a volunteer basis. They're giving up a lot of their own personal time to
Yes.
put together a campaign that can be successful. And then you have the volunteers who are going to run this the next year, and those have been selected too.
Yes, they have.
Has work started, Kayla, on next year?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. We've already met. We're starting planning for some of our summer events like Kickoff and Rose Society. So yeah, there definitely have been plenty of coffees at Commonplace to start this work already. I was just saying to Joe earlier, I feel like we had about 3 weeks of downtime between the end of this campaign.
Just enough time to take a breath.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But that's kind of the joy of this work, is that you do feel busy, but you feel busy for the right reason.
And it also shows the need is constantly there for the
Yes.
people of Indiana County and
Yes.
and the surrounding areas, that the need that they have to not only avail themselves of the services that the United Way provides, but also the services that the member organizations provide as well.
Right.
It just shows how important they are and how that need, unfortunately, in some situations, does not stop.
Yeah, I think if you look back, if you remember in November when we had the SNAP benefits that were temporarily paused and
Yeah.
LIHEAP for helping with heating was paused, there was great need because of a situation. And Indiana County stepped up. I mean, my God, everywhere you went, people were doing food drives, and everywhere you went, people were saying, how do we help our neighbors in need? And that goes back to how the United Way of Indiana County came to be. Rose Rischini saw neighbors in need, and she stepped up and acted in a big way. She brought the United Way to Indiana County. We've been following that mission ever since. We'll continue to do that, and we are Indiana County.
Yeah. So let's keep this Indiana County. If anybody out there does want to volunteer, Kayla, how can they join up?
So they can go on our website, uwindianacounty.org, and in the right-hand corner, there's a blue button that says volunteer. If you fill out your volunteer form, we will be able to be in contact with you if you want to volunteer.
Again, that's uwindianacounty.org. Excellent. And again, just click on the blue volunteer button in the upper corner of the screen, and that'll connect you. You just fill out a form then, I'm assuming. And you can also probably, whenever you talk to the people that you do get a hold of for volunteer services, you can find out more about what they can do, kind of put them in the right area then, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Excellent. So I wouldn't call it a job interview, but I know that you still have a lot of people left to thank, though, about all this, because the volunteers over there are absolutely amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to remember our campaign sponsors this year, Wood Chevrolet, BNC Meter, CGN CPA, Indiana Regional Medical Center, Krebs United Publication, First Commonwealth, Good and Associates, Indiana Gazette, Indiana Printing and Publishing, InFirst Bank, Kaczynski Insurance, the Rischini Group, Robindale Energy, Romeo's Pizzeria, Rosebud Mining, S&T Bank, Sheets, Smith Lewis Chess and Company, UPMC, Haberl, Buell, Rice and Bell, Marcus and Mack, Renda Media. You guys are wonderful partners for us. Frick, Ketro Insurance Agency, and Gibson Thomas Engineering. Again, with the help of our corporate sponsors, our generous donors, and our tireless volunteers, Indiana County can count on the United Way.
Tireless indeed, and the efforts of the United Way are always needed. So, Joe, Kayla, thank you both very much for being here on Indiana in the Morning. All our best, and we hope that the planning for the 2026 campaign runs very smooth. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure being with you, Josh.
Joe Fishel, Kayla Marsh, joining us from the United Way of Indiana County on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. And our interviews are presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm, best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Before we get to our Sports Minute from Westwood One, let's check our AccuWeather forecast for just a brief second here. Yeah, cold out there. Take a coat with you today. Scattered snow showers, cloudy skies, a high of 46. Mostly clear. There is some frost tonight. A freeze warning will be in effect tonight from about 11 o'clock to about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Overnight low 25. Mostly sunny, a high of 62 on Tuesday. So weather will start to warm up, get more spring-like. Tuesday night, scattered showers, mostly cloudy, low of 50. Wednesday, a high of 69 with scattered showers. Wednesday night, partly cloudy, a low of 45. So it's going to look pretty good for the rest of the week, I think. In Indiana,